You got the car, man, and we are going to be doing a little Mustang job today, replacing the brake pads, possibly the rotors. We'll see what we got going on with this thing. There's a quick shot of the tools, but don't worry about that too much because I'm going to go ahead and tell you everyone that's involved as we're doing. It has a little slot under here, and what I mean by taking it easy, see how it just kind of slides out, and you can just kind of push it out a little bit each way. Now, trying to show you inside of the camera, all you're dealing with is this little ring and these little pressure points right here. They're going to push it out, the ring's going to extend it, and it's going to sit in there just like a hubcap. No big deal. So the most important thing that we're going to learn about the lug nuts today, one, they have to be torqued when they go back on, but two, as you take them off, we've got to make sure that we're using a good, decent socket. See that nice little heavy-duty 6-point? That is a good heavy-duty impact socket. The reason is we don't want to gum up these at all. Now, if you don't have an impact gun like I'm using, the best thing to do is loosen these up while it's on the ground. But since I have an impact, we're already in the air. By the way, this is the Milwaukee fuel. It's got 1,500 pounds of torque. Way too much for this job, but I've got it back down. You see, impact makes the job go super fast. And that's all we really care about. Time, and not damaging anything. Damaging. Now, this next one, the wheel's actually going to fall off. And there you have it. So we're going to remove the wheel. And let's take a look at what we got. What we're looking at right here is the actual brake cylinder, the bracket that holds it, and of course the rotor. And what's going on is these pads are pressed hydraulically against this rotor and it slows the car down. Very simple process, but I can tell you right now, I can feel the grooves right here, and I haven't been able to inspect my pads yet, but my guess is that they're going to be pretty bad off based on what this looks like. So we're going to take this off in a phase of 3. We're going to take off the caliper first, then we're going to take off the brake bracket, and then we're going to take off the rotor. So sit tight. I'm going to show you how each one of these work. Okay guys, so you see this little yellow line, or kind of visible. That's going to be the top part of the caliper, and I've already got it loose. It's a 12 millimeter, and all this does is it goes in, and you can see the slide in which it goes to. This right here is supposed to be, see how that just moves back and forth? So the caliper slides back and forth. There's one at the top, and there's one at the bottom. So let me go ahead and show you the one at the bottom as well. Try not to make you too drunk here. So here's the bottom one. And there it is. We'll just go ahead and tighten this back up. As you see, just as well. That's all there is to it. As far as taking the caliper off, sometimes you can put a little bit of a screwdriver right here and just kind of pry it. I'm going to get a little lucky here. It seems like it's just going to move right on off. And you see it right here. She is definitely there. And it's a double piston. We'll have to retract them back later. And what we don't want to do is, you see the hose that this is actually attached to. Let me see if I can get you a little better view of that. There is a hose, which is your brake line. Kind of see it's kind of dark back there. We don't want to put any stress on that, and we're going to kind of make the orientation follow which way it goes, because we don't want it twisted when it goes back in. And then you want to tie it off. In this case, this little Mustang has a nice little place for me to set it up. Still wouldn't hurt to tie it off, but we don't want any stress. That's the point. Now this takes us down to the brake pads. Oh, which I see right there. See them coming right off. Coming right out. And if you pay attention, let's see if I can get you right up here. It's all about the details. You see this little metal clip right here? Kind of goes across the top and drops in. Don't even know if that's visible or not. So this is what they actually ride in. See if I can get that for you just a little bit. Alright, and so that's what they ride in, which a lot of people don't understand that. But there it is. So we put them there. Sometimes I do put a dab of grease, just a little dab there, just to keep them from getting frozen in there, but you don't have to by any means. Now, the other side, of course, it stops on both sides. You're supposed to be able to wiggle this sucker out. Sometimes it works easier than others, and this one right here is just a little bit stuck. So, I'm going to help it out a little bit. I'm just going to take that wood handle of this right here, just kind of See if I can persuade it. Just a little bit of conversation here. By the way, how you like the Car Man's channel back, huh? Yeah, we back. Those were two of the worst brake pads we've ever seen, but nonetheless, we'll show them in a second. Moving on. So now we got to take the bracket off because we can see clearly how bad this rotor is. So these are same as Lefty Loosey. So actually on the driver's side, to be pulling them down. And I already broke these free. But you may need a breaker bar. Depends on how motivated the last guy that put yours on was. Still not a bad job. This is going to save you a few $100 at least. As you can see, we're doing it with relative speed and not a lot to it. This is probably the most complex part of it right here. We're getting ready to finish up, which is just the, what was it, 4 bolts as far as the brake assembly. And then once you take these 2 bolts out, you can see the bracket trying to slide off. No problem. I'll go ahead and just stick these right back here. You see it's got lock red tight in it. That's why it's so tight. Check the torque specs on these and see exactly what it is. I don't know off the top of my head, but I will look at it. Also notice I always wear gloves when I do stupid stuff just like that. I can be prepared for it. And let's see. Rotor just slides off. Man, I don't know if she's able to bring this one back. That's pretty rough. Okay guys, so we have to go get the micrometer and check it because the manufacturer says the safe thickness is this. Okay, so we got Mariah here to Raleigh. She's going to put a micrometer on it. We're going to check her out.
What kind of engine is it?
Alright guys, so there we go. We're below a safe maximum limit. So this means that we're going to have to put a new rotor on it, so therefore that the new pads can have a full contact with its rotor and give it its full factory stopping power that we really desperately need. What do you think, Mariah?
Yeah.
Really good idea?
Yes, sir.
Okay guys, here we go. We got this one cleared and we're going to put it in the brake lathe. So now Mariah's got the right size adapter. What are we doing, Mariah?
Putting this against it to hold it still.
We just wanted something to keep it nice and flat. So when the blade's riding over it, it gives it a true and correct surface, right?
Yeah.
Almost there. Get a nice good flat surface. So here's the brake pads. This is how bad it is. There's literally nothing left on this, and which that's pretty self-explanatory. Extremely dangerous to be driving like that. And then if you look and notice how thin the old rotor is, very dangerous as well. That's why they say to measure them and check your specs out. Make sure you're okay to go. Now we did turn around and go ahead and get our second one, which was somebody had already replaced it. And here it is. They did a pretty good job of turning that for me. So that would be the one on the passenger side, unrelated. But you know, they did it for $10. Anytime I do brake pads, even in a case like that where it is a newer rotor, I go ahead and have it turned because I just like a nice solid stuff. So the first thing we got to do to put this back together is install the new rotor. Very easy, just slips right on and you'll feel it just kind of, it takes up the space right here as it slides over this. Alright, moving on, let's get that bracket on. Okay guys, so I went ahead and slipped the rotor on. It should feel nice and secure, which this does feel very nice and secure. And I went ahead and put the bracket on, and I'm doing it, I was turning it by hand, because we don't want to have any kind of cross thread. And like I said before, as we give you the torques, the back torque on the bracket is 85 foot-pounds. I'm going to do that at the very end, but I'm going to tell you that just in case you're working on your project. And these guys right here, in case I forget, on the slide pins, are 15. So I got that kind of secure, enough for a torque. And do this one. So this is what we got going on here. We've got to get these pistons flat. No big deal. I'll show you how to do that. grab your old brake disc because it's got a nice little metal backing on it. You can actually get a tool from your local auto parts store anywhere. I just always use C-clamps. Unless, of course, it's a twist down, then I use the other tool for it. Find a nice flat spot. Start securing it up. And just keep going to your flat. Okay, guys, as you see, we have both of these pistons depressed. We're going to gently slide that out of the way for a second and prepare to put the caliper back over top of the rotor. As far as installing the pads, real easy. It's got a nice little groove. Slides in one way. And once you get them both in, I've already got the back piece in, just kind of squeeze them nice and tight because we need all the clearance we can get for that caliper. Next, we want to get right here. They have sliders, which the piston works off of. The caliper slides on, so we want to get some of that on there. Be generous as you want to be. Now, look at that thing. She's sliding perfect. And let's just go ahead and lay her up. Right here we go. Just going to just give her some juice here. I think that's plenty. That's overindulgent. This slide ought to last for a good minute. Alright, so we're going to put it back in here. Now, we're going to go ahead and slide the caliper over. And it should meet us with 0 to no resistance. There we go. She slid right back on. Can you see right here where that yellow dot was at in the beginning? I'm going to have to wiggle this thing around a little bit. So I'm going to put about 15 pounds of torque. I am going to put 15 pounds of torque on the slides. And then on the lug nuts themselves require 95 pounds of torque. And that's pretty much going to wrap it up. So, don't worry about anything. I've got it all listed for you at Amazon. Go shop till you drop. Buy stuff you don't even think you want of Amazon. I'm all about it. Nothing but love from the car man and the RVA. Guess who's back, baby?